An error occurred again every
Wow.
time. It's only on the Facebook, and then it works. I'm Brent Leary.
I'm Paul Greenberg.
I should say I'm perturbed, but I'm still
I'm
Brent
still
Leary.
Paul Greenberg.
Yeah. And we are the CRM Playaz. Of course we are. It's Thursday at 3 East Coast time. Who else would we be?
That is an incredibly existential question.
Really, I
Very
was
profound.
trying to find out who we actually are because sometimes I forget that stuff.
I'm 72, dude. I have no idea.
Anyway, I know I'm Brent Leary today. I just got this in the mail, a little Rams Christmas in July. So it may be a long sleeve, but I had to put it on. It's still lightweight and it still looks good. And guess what? The Rams are still the Super Bowl champs. So I can wear it.
That's right. You've got till
Yeah.
February with that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna enjoy
Then
it.
we'll
This
see.
one is good. I'm gonna break out a brand new piece of Rams gear at Zoho Day. I'm bringing it with me. So
Really?
that you heard it here first. Okay, wait a minute. LinkedIn user. That must be
Ah,
Bob.
yeah, it's got to be it said from Boston, who is playing the Yankees tonight.
Oh, wait a minute. So that means, hey, Sven wasn't at the happy hour yesterday either. What's going on here?
Wait, what?
He's not even the number 2 commenter because that's Alan. Guess what? Oh, by the way,
I
good to see you,
think,
Alan.
therefore, I am CRM.
He's not even number 3 because there's Larry.
Hey, Larry. Long time no
Good to see you,
here.
Larry.
Like, what, an hour and a half? We
Sven
chatted
is
about
not
work.
even the number 4 commenter because that's
Oh,
Everton.
Everton. Hey, man. I saw that you said you would try to come today, and here you are. Welcome, buddy.
Welcome. But when's the last time Sven wasn't a top 5 commenter? We're getting
Actually,
into
I think-
scary territory here.
I don't think that's ever been the case.
We may need to put out an all points bulletin.
That's right.
This is starting to get a little weird. Anyway, we'll keep an eye out for him, and you all keep an eye out for him and let us know what's going on with Sven. We're kind of worried here. Anyway, we are assembling since 2009. We are assembling. What do we call these folks again? The Horsemen.
This Four Horsemen of the CRM Apocalypse.
And sometimes you can spell horseman one way or the other. 2 ways this time around, apparently. And you'll
As we'll see.
understand why
We're
that
here.
is. Yes, we're here. Anyway, so we are going to assemble the crew. Hey, Dan. Good to see you. Stop counting.
Sorry, Dan. You're number
Look.
6.
We did 4 horsemen, and as you will hear, we actually have 5. So yeah, we stopped counting real early, so that's a good thing.
And
Anyways.
we may be missing one of the actual.
We may
Maybe.
be.
Missing
that
one
means
of the actual horse.
We have a spare horseman seat if our 5th is able to join us today. Anyway, we'll talk to them in a minute. There are a couple of things I would like to do. We had some breaking news that just happened maybe an hour ago, and I would like to play a clip because this is the first thing that came into my mind when this news occurred.
Respect slump. Still betting Yankees pretty heavy? Tell them to start taking action, all right?
Oh, yeah, I saw that news.
We lost enough money last week on the game. Oh, come here.
You did not mess with Sonny Corleone
No,
or
you
his
did
sister.
not.
I mean,
Ay.
he destroyed this dude. Look at the. He must have
Okay,
had some
Brent.
good boxing traits.
Poor man. And Okay.
But this is the part that gets me. Coming up in 3, 2, 1. The biting of the hand. That's what.
Brent,
and
you
the-
have an odd sense of taste. That's all I can
Okay.
say. Not.
Oh, yeah, that hurt.
We can wrap it up.
Yeah,
I think
He's
we can
about
wrap this
done.
up, Brent.
Now here's the part.
Remember, Brent? I remember.
Wait a minute. There's one last
This
thing.
is not the way I want to remember James Caan.
My sister again, I'll kill you.
Yeah, see, right there. So yeah, James Caan, Sonny Corleone in the Godfather series, passed away at the age of 82. But I'm sorry, that's how I'm going to remember Sonny.
Not me.
James Caan. I know he's in the Brian Piccolo thing, which was good, but
Oh, he was good
Come
in
on,
almost
Sonny
everything
Corleone.
he did, man. He was good in nearly everything he did.
ouch. Yeah, he might have. Yeah, I was counting the number of times James Caan's hit that dude. Anyway, so yeah, 82 years. He was a great actor. I really
He
enjoyed
was.
his.
I agree. That one hit me a little harder than most.
Not as hard as he hit that dude, though.
No, the minute I said that, I knew something like that was coming. I almost regretted saying it.
Is that worse than McHale's Navy?
No.
No. Gotta ask.
You keep trying.
I see in the green room somebody is giving me the affirmative, so I don't know. We'll maybe have to discuss.
Oh, not a chance was that worse than McHale's Navy.
All right. Another thing. Breaking news. Apparently, the Rams are trading for Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant. Yeah, I saw.
I'm all for that. I'm okay with that.
What's he going to play? He's going to play point backer.
He can play whatever he wants, really. Yeah.
Music.
Okay. All right. I want to do this because next week, finally, we are going to have a sit down and have the CEO and founder of Verint. We were supposed to actually do a live stream at Verint Engage due to technical difficulties. Yeah, we couldn't do it. But we are glad to have him back. Well, have him come join us next Thursday, right?
Yep. And I think with him, if I remember correctly, that we will also have, for a brief part of it, Dave Singer, a.k.a. Steve Rogers, a.k.a. Captain America, or a.k.a. the VP of go-to-market for workforce performance products at Verint, on with us too. And we had him actually as a guest at the Verint Live conference on one of the episodes we did do, and he was great. So
And he brought the
we're
shield.
going to have him for another 15 minutes hopefully with the shield. Hopefully.
Yes. Well, we're looking forward to that because we did get a chance to meet Dan briefly. Seems like a really cool guy.
Yeah.
So we're
really
glad to have him for an extended amount of time next week.
All right.
Wait, I got two quick ones.
More. All right.
Just real quick. I'm starting to get a handle on this promotional stuff. All right. So I have a few good minutes next week coming up with Karina Scoggin. And this is all around this new program that Amazon is doing where they're actually providing small businesses a significant amount of money to start a business and become one of their delivery partners. So I'm going to be talking to the person in charge of that one. That'll be
What's RTO mean? What's RTO mean?
You would ask me that. It
Since I don't know.
Apparently I don't either. And I'm looking for it in this
retail organization.
I don't think so.
I don't either.
But you know what? I'll know it by the time I talk to her.
That would be good.
I'm looking. I have the blog post up too, but I don't see anything where it says RSO. The name of the program is for their. Oh, forget it. I see DSP. So Amazon Delivery Service Partners. So it's part of that program. I'll know what RSO. I guess that's her overall area. But anyway, so that'll be coming up next week. Also, quick convo. Have you ever met Tara DeZeo
No.
from Pega?
No. Nope.
I'm going to be talking to her about MarTech and AdTech. It's a lot of tech.
Cool.
But you know what? I think I'm going to start a separate business under the PPN umbrella for these promotional images. Don't you like these images?
Yeah.
I'm doing a pretty good job. And it got me to thinking, we can charge people for this. Look at that. Doesn't that look good? There's one for Aaron Levy.
We'll have a professional photography segment. I mean,
look at Frank. I love this one with Frank. Don't you like that?
Yeah, I do. That's a great one.
Frank is a good one. Let's see. This really, Brian Catanzaro. It just looks good. Can I do one of these? Because I think I'm doing a real good job with the pro. Look at this one.
Yeah.
Really good.
He's a cool guy too.
Set up like a separate web page or something?
We'll have a gallery. Garish is he's now aiming to be the second person from Freshworks to go into public service.
Oh, right.
Ooh, look at that. I
think awesome. That might be my favorite.
Yeah, it might be the best one.
But there's one last one that I think is even better.
Yeah, that's right.
It's the thing, the shining in the background. He looks like he could be delivering a sermon on the Mount or something like that.
He's basically doing a digital version of the 10 Commandments.
So we will be opening up a sub business if you want these kind of promotional images for your.
It'll be like a cruise ship. It's like a cruise ship, right? We'll have all these in the gallery. You go find yours, and then you come to us, and then you pay us for it.
Now, I tried one for myself. It just didn't work, man. Look at that.
That's not bad. It's not that bad.
Compared to this?
Well,
that's brutal.
The background, though. The background.
I'm not even looking in the right place.
Well, and by the way, speaking of which, we do on July 18th, even though that's not a normal show day, but nonetheless, July 18th, which I believe is what, a Monday? Is that Monday?
I don't know. I think it's a Monday.
Yeah. On July 18th, there will be a major announcement from us about, well, I mean, since Brent's kind of mentioned it, I'll say one thing. Thank you, Haverton. It's recovery time objective. There'll be a major announcement from us on Playaz Productions Network. It's going to be a big announcement. There's going to be a number of things that happen with the announcement. We will let you know the day of the announcement what all those are. So be ready, be prepared. There may be a pop-up video on it. We'll see how we deliver the announcement, but it will be delivered on July 18th. So watch for it.
By the way, Dan, I don't think you want me to take your picture, but I find good ones to use, so I can do that for you. We'll talk later. I'll hook you up. All right. Anything else we need to promote or pitch?
No, we're going to have a lot of promotion coming up. So,
wow. All right. Well, so we don't have to go through the traditional Venerable Paul Greenberg intros for these folks.
God, no.
We could just kind of bring them on at this point because, well, we've been trying to, what is the tagline? Bring CRM to its knees since 2009 with these people?
Bringing CRM to its knees since 2009. Thanks to Digital Pestilence giving us that.
Speaking of which.
And there he is. Digital Pestilence himself. Esteban Kolsky.
What was that?
Look at that. I know that. Chin up. It's a beauty. It's a beauty. Take that picture, Brent. Take that picture. Yes.
Got it.
Perfect.
All right.
Wow, that was cool.
Let me know when your next virtual event is, and I'll hook you up. There it is.
Oh, every rent is virtual from now on.
All right. Now, I don't know. I guess since we haven't seen or heard from Dennis, he might not be able to make it. So, the fourth member of the Horsemen for today, and she really took it literally, the horse part of Horsemen.
Wow.
Ginger Conlon.
Hey, everyone.
See? HOARSE. For those of you who don't get it.
Yeah. I
Susie.
do my best to like
Oh
live
my
the part,
God,
you know?
Susie Brenner.
You know what's amazing? We're literally talking about having 4/5 of the Four Horsemen on the show.
I'm trying to see. What does that say? I can't really read it.
Mental health is political.
Wow. Nice.
How could you not read it?
Is that a dinosaur or something?
Yeah, it's a cartoon from the web, the little dinosaur cartoon.
Oh, nice. Okay.
It's a beautiful T-shirt.
Thank you.
Man.
All right. So it's another year. It's 2022, and we're all fine. We're still here.
We killed this
It's
one. Man.
nice.
We really, really killed this one.
So
There is nothing left after this one.
what is there to talk about CRM in 2022 that we
Oh,
haven't
brother.
already talked about in 2009, 10,
So
11?
good news,
12,
the dumpster
13.
fire is out. Bad news, the dumpster is completely burned out. That's why.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
We-
so much for CRM. Let's move on to the next topic.
Basically, yeah.
So what do we move on to?
That's a good question. So here's the thing. I've been doing some reading and writing and research, and one thing we're not moving to anymore is digital transformation. In a recent study that was published, I think 3 weeks ago, when the CIOs were asked about what was the biggest repercussion from the pandemic, 90% of them said that digital transformation is no longer an issue. It's no more like, oh, you have to transform digital, you're going to die, whatever. The pandemic proved that if you didn't, then you're done, then there's nothing left. So stop talking to me about digital transformation. I don't want to hear that word anymore. I don't want to hear the concept. I don't want to hear anything. We're done.
What?
So
Well, you want to know something interesting about that, just anecdotally? So I have a number of Google searches set up, and two that I had set up. Well, one was customer engagement. The other one was digital transformation. And for every 15 to 20 every day I get in maybe 20, 25 even in customer engagement, I get 1 or 2 for digital transformation.
yeah,
And that's it. And I set it up as a general strict search, right?
done.
So that it's just not even being talked about at the level it used to be,
yeah.
which
That
is
makes
pretty
sense
amazing.
because, how far back were people talking about stop calling it digital transformation and just call it business transformation, because digital is just part of the everyday now, So
Yeah.
I think the pandemic just reminded people of that. So,
Also, everybody was calling everything they did digital transformation, right?
Right.
Well, we just installed a flush toilet in the office, which nobody's coming
And
to.
that's and that's
Digital
one of the
transformation.
biggest. That's one of the bigger reasons for its demise, was that everything became digital versus what it really started at, which was digital is pertaining to data. It was about managing and understanding and managing your data better. That was what digital transformation was all about. Then it became about everything that nobody else could figure out where to put, and then it went downhill from there. So,
I agree.
but
So
I
now
have the new buzzword. If you guys are looking for the new buzzword,
I think I know what it is, but go ahead.
Now that we kill hyper personalization, we move forward to.
At scale.
No, if you don't remember, I did a webinar a few months ago, and I said that I'm actually reserving the right to coin super duper personalization, which was perfect. But that one hasn't taken on yet. But the new one is hyper automation.
Oh, I haven't even seen that one.
Oh, it's a Gartner thing. There's
What
actually
is it?
there's a
What
whole
is
impact radar for hyperautomation that Gartner published in the last few weeks.
What exactly is meant to be?
Well, what it's meant to be is a catch-all for anything. If you look at the impact radar, which I'm looking at right now, it actually talks about AI augmented software engineering, data fabric, decision intelligence, process mining and discovering, low-code application platforms, digital twins, intelligent document
So
processing.
everything.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, that's ridiculous.
So we moved from digital transformation to hyper-automation, which is the new catch-all phrase.
So how about composability, the composable enterprise, composable
composable
CX?
enterprise. Since SAP adopted the term, that's a really strong term.
Oh, then it must be. I don't. It's astounding to me. Well, again, I could always throw in a plug for the new podcast coming up, but I won't. Yes, maybe I will. We'll see later. But it's astonishing to me how I don't know. It's probably since we all started in this whole thing, all the way back. We have seen continual use of terms for self-interest that confuse everybody all the time. That end up being eventually, even if they should have meaning they're actually important. They end up meaningless. They end up meaningless, right?
Because I'm reserving the right to coin the term hyper-composability for the next one.
Oh my gosh. Look at what Alan wrote.
Oh, come on, Alan. That's not fair. Let's not bring Ray into this.
I'm looking at hyper confusability. That's my new term. Hyper confusability.
That's a new term for FUD.
Yeah, it's all right. We can adapt to it. I don't. The more I think about this stuff lately, maybe I'm becoming crotchety old guy, but the more I think about this, the more irritating it gets, and that means I've had 25 years to get continually irritated by people just throwing things around and complaining about like X, Y, and Z, and then having no answer to what to do if it's a genuine complaint, and then making up a term that suits their business model fine, but nobody else actually, right? So I don't. The only downside for me is I don't really know what to do about it other than to try to keep clarifying in the confusion, but that doesn't work very often. I try and fail. So, I'm not sure. How do you deal with that? Really, what would be the way through the Michigas of Michigas, aka for those who don't know it, mess. Well, I'm simplifying it really.
Thank you.
How do you clarify what's real in the Michigas of what is self-interested? What do you do? Like, how do you take steps?
You have to advocate repeatedly.
But what is that? What happens?
So I have 2/3 of a blog that I wrote about that. Exactly that. And my two answers are very simple. Number one, there's just too much stuff. And number two is the fact that like most of our customers are actually doing the show me the money. Don't tell me what it does. Don't tell me how it does it. Show me what the results are and somebody similar to me, and then I'll embrace it. Until then, don't talk to me. I don't care. It's become all about like, it has to impact my top line and bottom line equally, and it needs to deliver a value that I perceive, not what you tell me. So all your white papers and thought leadership and all this stuff doesn't really matter. Just show me exactly how this impacted another business in real dollar terms, and then we'll talk. That's what we're getting the biggest request for is like, just show me the money.
Do you get the same thing, Ginger?
Yeah, and people want to understand it in real world terms. But going back to content, I think one of the companies that does this well in terms of defining, helping to take a definition of a term, whether you agree with their definition or you don't is another story, but take their definition and just, evangelize it out there. Is Digiday. They have the WTF series. So yeah, I mean, it's something I tried to do at CRM that didn't take off, and it took off for them, and I'm very jealous about it, but they rock it. So they have, it started out with a simple definition. I'll just take an easy one. What is a CDP? And they, define it. But then it went from just a piece of content to having an event, to like getting people, to do like live conversations about it, to explain it and give case studies. And so now they have like library of, if you go on their website and go to the WTF section, they'll have like a parent term and all like the children terms that are related. They've done like really an outstanding job of trying to create kind of a dictionary of the key industry terms.
That's so. What's the company?
Digiday.
Digiday.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think
Giday.
Oh, Alan. Okay, bottom picture behind me, Citi Field.
Oh, nice. It's a nice stadium for basketball. Yeah.
I won't bring up the Yankees.
Shake your head, okay? Just because you co-opted the Cal Bears colors for your whatever team, whatever you guys
the
play.
Cal Bears.
Of course, golden red and blue is Cal Bears. It was there before whatever team you have there.
You mean from the Big Ten? From the
what
Big
was the
Ten?
name? The Goats? No, they were sorry.
The Goats. Sorry, we seem to be having some technical difficulties with Esteban's mic.
Oh, can't take it. Huh? Okay, fine.
Oh,
well, that's UCLA. That's UCLA of the Big Ten.
There is none
We'll
anymore.
give you the Spanish
I know.
Oh, the Big Ten, right? Yeah.
Of the
We'll
Big
give you
Ten.
the Spanish word, the chivitos.
So, all right. So, I just went to Digiday and looked at their W2F series archives. It's actually really interesting what they're doing. I see how why you like them. Oh wow, here's one. So, So who were there?
Since you're commenting and on screen, that's neat trick.
Who's their audience, Paul? All of the people in charge of digital transformation. No, kidding.
Well,
yeah.
Well,
no,
and
it
hyper
can't be.
automation.
They don't define that, so it can't be. Right.
Yeah, no.
They define the metaverse, though.
Yeah.
Oh.
But
They do have the
people,
metaverse there.
technologists and business side who dealing with technology, people on CRM and CX, if you're using technology to do your job on the business side, you're likely in their wheelhouse.
Are they well known?
Around for a while.
Yeah. I mean, when I was
Awesome.
at Direct Marketing News, they were really like exploding. And yeah. So
They haven't been as visible recently, it feels.
I mean, one of the biggest things that I'm running across, and I do run this nonstop, is I get these people who throw out the buzzwords, and then when I ask them, well, what do you mean by that? It literally, they don't have an answer, right? So, Esteban,
ask me anything. Ask me anything. Go ahead.
I just need to know if you have a note from your parents.
I have a note from my parents for what?
Yeah,
my parents haven't given me a note in a long time.
So, all right. So, let's say this again.
So digital transformation is dead, right? There's another thing that came out of all the research I've been doing lately that is pretty interesting, and this actually you wrote about in 2009, Paul. You wrote the customer has the control of the conversation. If you remember that, throwing the land on the sun, the land on the sun.
I had no control.
No, it was a stake in the ground, man. Stake in the ground.
Wagyu beef.
Dude, Wagyu beef, A5, it's all the same shit. It tastes like beef at the end of the day,
That's right.
So, but the interesting thing is like, according to if you correlate all these studies, there's a sense that the customer overextended the power that they inherited by having control of the conversation, and they might have pushed just a little bit too far.
Oh, I absolutely believe that.
No, I believe that too. Trust me.
Yeah. No, that goes past. See, that's the thing that's always been a problem too, which is there's a difference between if you really start looking at it, there's a difference between a customer controlling the conversation and entitlement, right? That's two different.
Well, it's funny you say that, because the consensus is that what the customer is asking for is a choice of expression. One of the words that I hate more than most. It's one of the words that I hate more than most is expression. Expression as a way to how you communicate. So the customer wants to be able to like demand whatever they want and receive it, which is basically entitlement. And they went from controlling the conversation to having a choice on expression on how the brand interacts with them based on them setting the parameters for the conversation.
Look, I don't mind that people have, one of the parameters that Brent and I have discussed for moving forward is just providing avenue. Look, when it comes to millennials and Gen Zers and people like that, is the reality is, as much as we always say, oh, well, they always want to be involved in XYZ, that's not even true. They're 40 years old now. They have families, they have other things in their life to do. But what businesses do need to do, and this actually is interesting, I'm trying to develop, and maybe we can hash this out a little bit. I'm trying to develop an equation to what I'm about to say to superseding omni-channel toward this, which is rather than start thinking channel, or continue to think channel, start thinking about avenues for participation. And again, business's job, create the avenues for participate, and then what people do with them, they do with them.
Ooh. We give gold stars for participation?
No, it's not that kind of participation. Hashtag fail and hashtag succeed actually still counts, right? So
Jason is skating the line on that one, my friend. That one is skating the line between social commentary and technology commentary.
Amplify entitlement of the uneducated.
Yeah.
But also the intelligence of the educated. So
it's all about plant-based CRM now.
I want to ask Ginger a question, an etiquette question. Now you're on screen and you're reading comments and listening and talking. So when you see something in the comments section that makes you smile, is it the proper etiquette to not just smile on camera, but also type a comment with a smiley face in it? Do you need to have both of those in order to convey your current emotion?
Not for just a smile, but for the laugh, because I'm not going to laugh out loud, because then you might think I'm laughing at something that one of you is saying versus the comment.
No, we would never think that.
Well, but you can also make a live emoji,
So well.
I just had to ask.
You know what?
You were I take the screenshot there, my friend.
90% of my emojis these days are the one that goes like this. That one.
Wow.
But I mean, just think of my background, right? So I'm someone who goes to an event and can take notes so I can write a blog post about what the speaker is saying, but at the same time, I'm live tweeting. So.
Oh, that is true multitasking.
That's way too much for me. I'm too old.
Yeah, me too. I think that's hard to handle. I'm still fixated on avenues of participation, though.
So these are notes.
Of what?
Whatever. I always take written notes. I don't do
Oh, I love written notes. I still love written notes.
Wow.
I used notebooks too. Regular notebooks with pens.
We all like writing, which means we're all AARP members, apparently.
Wow, that's a long time now, man.
I'm just saying.
22 years.
All right.
Okay, wait.
I got something.
Okay.
I got something. a couple weeks ago, we introduced, meaning I sprung it on Paul, a new segment on the show.
Oh, well, you're not going to that again. Oh, God.
I like to call it
I'm
Stump.
hereby dissolving our partnership immediately.
I like to call it Stump the Godfather. And I make sure I pronunciate Stump because it's so close to Stomp
Stomp.
that it would
Which is
really
pretty
be a
much what
shame if
happens
people
every time you do
took
this.
that to heart.
I
Anyway.
take it as he pronounces it stump. I take it as stomp.
It's Stump, but I like a group effort here because I just saw this survey it's one of these mostly political, like, positive, negative ratings for individuals, for Congress, for the Supreme Court, get all this stuff. But they did ask a question they asked for favorability for different institutions, whether they're, Congress, whether they're corporate, whether they're the military. So if you had to guess which unit, organization, whatever you want to call it, was the most trusted based on this survey of Americans, just American voters, what institution do you think was voted as having the highest positive ranking?
Influencers.
CRM Playaz specifically.
Influencers.
This is not going. No, this is outside of. This is just everything, not in business.
Oh,
And
of
there's
course, the Supreme Court, of course.
Fox News.
Fox.
I didn't
Any other guesses?
You did. I would never done that. You opened the door, dude.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'm just gonna have to put this up here. Let's see. We'll go with this.
The
It
military.
didn't really come across really well.
Are you serious?
Amazon's number two.
Oh my God. They really jumbled that export. Anyway,
Look
number
on
one
the
is the
right.
military. Number two is Amazon.
Well, what's really funny is the top five. Look at what they are, and then look at the one that isn't that. Is Amazon,
Military,
military-
police,
FBI, and NATO.
Center for Disease Control. How did Amazon get so high, or is it everything else is so low? Would you have guessed Amazon would be the second most trusted entity in the U.S. in 2022 today?
No, but I wouldn't have said the police would be number three either, right? So
Look,
I'm not.
Facebook is ahead of the Department of Justice and the U.S. Supreme Court.
If I can intercede just 1 second, the around 5% that never heard of NATO really kills me more than anything. That just me,
Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, Rams fans, we should be really high up.
I'm so surprised my name is not there.
They have Rams fan. It's Antifa,
I'm surprised
right? Isn't that the
Facebook
Rams fans
is higher than things like the DOJ, the Supreme Court, Black Lives Matter, Twitter.
I'm not surprised it's higher than the Supreme
Don't go
Court.
there.
I want to know what else was on the list that people chose from. Like, how did it wind up like this? Were there other brands on the list?
Look at Everton's response.
Like,
Yeah, like why isn't Apple? You would think Apple would be higher.
yeah,
Would
and
be
why?
on this
Like,
list.
how many countries were on the list? Like, who made this list? I need
This
to
is
know.
U.S. voters. This is U.S. voters. Based.
But
This is-
what's the agency that did the research?
It is. I have it somewhere here. Let me go to page 1 here.
I love the formatting you done on this. Really nice.
Harvard Harris poll. Harvard
Wow.
Caps Harris.
I
I
mean,
don't know
so
what Caps. Center for American Political Studies at Harvard.
let's
Harvard.
bypass the fact that this is a biased survey, because by offering options, you actually guiding the
Right.
reader or the person who responds into a certain direction.
Hey, this is
Very
Harvard.
good.
This is
Dan gets an
Yeah.
out loud laugh.
I don't
You know,
care
my
who Harvard
opinion-
is
my
horrible at
opinion
it.
of them.
All right. So
Anyway.
all right. Let me give you the background. The survey was conducted online within the U.S. from June 28th to the 29th,
Come on,
2022,
come on.
among 1,308 registered voters by the Harris
Last
poll
week.
and Harris X. So
That's
this is
830 people
after.
that were online. Those 830 people that were online with nothing better to do but answer this survey.
Well, at least they got 1,300 of them.
Yeah, 1,300. That's worse. Plausible deniability.
1,230 of them are Amazon employees.
Let's
The
see. I don't think they.
the demographics are men between 35 and 48 that live in the basement of their mom's house.
Right.
Wow. It's kind of,
Under
Well,
a
if you said
rock.
online, I mean,
That's why they don't know NATO. They lived
trying to
under
see
a
if there's
rock.
any additional demographics to this that I could share.
9% never. Wait. No, what's that? What's the percentage?
which
They've
one
never-
are you talking about?
I'm looking. I can't. It's a little messed up. So I want to say it's China, but it's something missing. Maybe it's Antifa.
40% very unfavorable, 24% unfavorable.
I'm looking at the never heard ofs.
to about 2% for China.
You're,
The one
What-
below is Antifa, which is probably about 25%.
okay, then that's Antifa. Okay,
They never heard of it's only the really dark gray. So
I agree
the
with
ones
you
that
on
are
the NATO.
really- so about 3% for CDC, about 5% for NATO, and about 20% for Antifa. Never heard of.
Wow.
It is
Those are
pretty
the
amazing. The
numbers.
5% never heard of NATO.
They
And-
serve
2% never heard of China. That's even more.
Well,
troubling.
what's amazing me is that there's actually a dark line for U.S. military and police. Never
Yeah.
heard of police. Never heard of the U.S. military.
That's kind of.
Never heard of Amazon. Come on.
That's
Oh,
amazing.
I know that young gal. What's the name? FBI. I know that lady. I saw her on TV the other day. You know,
Lady from FBI.
no, it's a joke. Never mind.
I mean, it just
Didn't
looks
know
like some of these people just like checked things off and didn't actually pay attention.
Hey, go back to the comment. Yeah, don't do that, Jeffrey. You'll be shocked. So don't worry about it. But go
Don't
back
bring
to the
your-
comment about
Your fancy
Amazon.
book learning techniques and strategies into this.
Yeah. We
just
don't
want
do
something to
that
talk
in
about.
market research anymore. It's gone that way. But go back to
Well,
the
listen.
Everton.
Going swinging it all the way around. You know, there's still, after all these years, there is still massive amounts of market research on the state of the social CRM market. And if you actually look at the companies that they call social CRM, 80% of them don't exist anymore. And yet they're researching them still and putting out reports that cost
And
$2,000.
somebody is
on
actually
social
paying
CRM
to
market.
see those reports.
Oh, just type in the word social CRM and just look at what pops up. And you should see all these reports on social CRM and its market and its and evaluation and
A
all that.
picture of Esteban didn't pop up.
I
No,
hope
he
not.
only pops up if it's just social. You just say social, he pops up. Right. So, but just look at it, which shows you the state of a lot of market research companies. I mean, what was the name of that company? You guys will remember, but Esteban, you might remember that Maria Ogneva worked at years ago, started with an A. Intensity. Yeah. That showed up on one of these 2022 social CRM research, a market lists of social CRM companies. And Intensity, I think, has not existed for what, 13 years? So, and that's just one of an incredible number that don't exist anymore for one reason or another. That's the problem with a lot of this crap. It's, again, it goes to the heart of, we're going to make money on something. I actually recommend to whenever I do advisory work, I tell every one of these clients, when you're investing in market research reports that you want to read, if anyone is social CRM, do not buy it or read it. If it says those two words, do not buy it or read it, because they are not. That's a market that doesn't exist.
Market research is horrible. There's no questions about it. So, there's no point. But I have some really great market research stats if you want to talk about the numbers for market research report.
that are poor. Recent
No,
research.
actually, here's an interesting one. 2/3 of companies have determined that work from home is critical for them as a strategy that they need to address going forward, meaning that their employees will work from home and they cannot rely on having people on location anymore. But here's a counter statistic to that. 48% of employees agree that brands understand it enough to get it right, which is actually pretty good because it was 20% 2 years ago. So we actually more than doubled that. But 62 to 48 is a significant gap in there. Anybody who's better at math than I am can tell you that. But it's about a quarter of the people that are being affected by think that the companies that are imposing on them don't know what they're doing. So, and we are 2 years plus into the pandemic, and still some people don't understand work from home enough to actually create policies that are addressing the need.
Yeah, that's peculiar. Well, I know.
Is it that they don't understand it? Sorry to interrupt, Paul, or that they just, want what they want and it's not convenient for them, so they're having trouble figuring it out the way they want it.
The number one request from employees that work from home is addressing the issue of childcare, and the only thing that no company has ever addressed is the issue of childcare, whether through credits, reimbursements, expenses, anything. There's nothing that companies do for people who work from home in regards to childcare. So,
they didn't have to worry about it before the pandemic. They don't want to have to worry about it after the pandemic. They want it to be on the employees to worry about it. They don't want to deal with that.
But here's the interesting thing. I read a survey about 2 weeks ago, and I don't remember where it was, but like 1/3 of people who moved during the pandemic moved to places where childcare is affordable, so they could actually get away from cities where it was completely unaffordable. So if you make $100 in a city and you got to spend $50 in childcare, it doesn't work. If you make it $700 in a small town and you got to spend $20 in childcare, then that's affordable, right?
But is that part of the affordability equation, not just the childcare, but everything else that goes into affordable living?
But when we're responding to the survey, 1/3 of people said that they moved because childcare affordability was more important to them than anything else, and corresponds with 42% of employees that believe that companies don't get it. So there's a significant gap in there on how brands can address the issues that matter to their employees that is not being addressed. And then we turn around and we go and make statements like, employee engagement and employee experience is so important, but we don't deliver on that. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to name names, but there's companies that are actually vesting the entire future and how employee experience is going to be great, but they don't address the simple issues like, childcare, which is not complicated.
Because that's a hard one.
No,
they don't want to deal with any hard issues.
No,
why is it? Why do you think it's not hard, Esteban?
It's not hard if you actually take the problem seriously. It's not that hard. I'm not asking you to give everybody $1,000 a week to pay for a babysitter. I'm asking you to create a childcare center in the office or somewhere where I can drop the kid that you run. That will, number one, cost you a lot less. Number two, bring you tons of goodwill and becomes a promotional item for retention and recruitment.
There are big companies that do that, but that doesn't help the people who work from home. That's a whole different issue.
It's the same as dropping the kid at school. If you have a flexible schedule and if you get 15, 20 minutes to half an hour to drive the kid to the childcare center and then go pick it up, you can work from home. I'm not telling you that has to be in the office.
But if you work in the same city, like my company doesn't even have an office in New York. So if I had a toddler,
I didn't say have to be in the office. Look, if there was to be a smart entrepreneur out there, they will create an Airbnb of childcare. There's an idea for somebody who wants to go to a VC and propose something. An Airbnb of childcare.
Get you some good lawyers.
Yeah, I'm on it.
Then who pays? Well, you know what? This is a whole other conversation.
Well, true. But you know what, Ginger? This is the thing. All this stuff that we're talking about is because there's no issues to discuss on technology and adoption and implementation. There's none. Everything has been like Paul was saying earlier. Everything has been overhyped and over buzzword, so that there's nothing that we can talk about that hasn't been decided and explained to death. You were talking about simple definitions of what? We put a simple definition, and immediately 25 people descend on it and destroy it and try to get their version of it. So if you're going to solve these problems, we're not going to solve them by debating what CDP stands for, or whether customer 360 is better than customer 270 or customer 180 is better.
But it is.
If you really want to solve the issues that affect the organizations right now, these are the issues.
Mm-hmm.
That's too hard. Nobody wants to have these kind of discussions. They just want
so let's
go back to where it was before.
Let's go back to composability. What do you guys think of composability as a strategy for cloud success? I even got better. Hyper cloud composability in multiple clouds.
Is it
Well, I'm going to change it.
or no composability?
I'm going to change it to compostability.
You mean like posting something?
No,
online?
like compost.
Oh,
I'm not supposed to laugh out loud, so I'm going to emoji it. There we go.
Compostability, and I'm leaving it at that.
But how much? All right. How much of all that we just talked about changes because these younger generations of folks who they claim have different things that they value. Their value system is different. They value things that the older generations didn't seem to value as much, but it means a lot more to them. And because of that, maybe that's the impetus that will change some of the stuff that we just talked about.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, when it gets to the point where they can't get the talent that they want unless they make changes, then they'll make those changes.
Agree.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think that's the ticket to all this, Or
what's Jeff?
To put it in your terms.
Let's read Jeff's thing here. I've been asked to update my marketing research in the 21st century paper to a market research in a post-pandemic world. What are your thoughts on some of the opportunities and or requirements as we face a new normal?
I actually have data on that. Seriously, I'm dead serious. So 65% of executives, C-level executives asked, said that everything that they're actually doing right now is post-pandemic.
But is it any different than what they were doing before? Just because they're working on it.
Which is our new. It's like CRM to social CRM to like mobile CRM to like feeling CRM to participation CRM to plant-based CRM. It's just another label. But 65% of the C-level executives recognize that post-pandemic is the time that we live in, and that's the new normal. So I agree with
what Jeff is saying here, because you talked about the child care issue. He's saying on-site child care centers are a non-starter because of the legal liability for most companies.
You hired them as an external company. It's the same as any other child care. It's just basically provided it's just subsidizing for the employee. It's not yours, it's somebody else's.
It doesn't feel like companies want that responsibility, though.
It's not a responsibility. You just subsidize it. You pay somebody else to do it in lieu of you. I give you 7 options. You pick one, and I pay for it. If not, you pay your own. I'm not owning anything. I'm just subsidizing. I come from the land of subsidies. I know subsidies well. Just like I know, like Everton was saying earlier, I know that you don't trust any official institutions, So you do. See, he got it right. Larry knows what he's talking about. That is the title of my next paper. Why you need hyper composability for social CRM. Actually, I was going to call it plant-based CRM instead of social.
Hey, by the way, what happened to so much to say?
It's you don't see it, but it's right over there. That's a discussion that cannot be had in public.
Okay. Because I don't like giving out really good names for stuff, and they don't get used. That's all I'm saying.
And it still is. It's just that it involves a lot of human feelings that I don't understand within my spectrum. Like frustration and compromise and anger,
All right, I'm going to ask Ginger a question. Thought leadership. Are you happy with the evolution of where thought leadership is right now? what are some of the good, the bad, the ugly, the WTF on the status of thought leadership in 2022?
Well, so thought leadership is one of those terms, like all the technology terms that we've been talking about, that means different things to different people. So at Genesis, when we talk about thought leadership, we're generally talking about the research driven big reports like the state of CX, things like that. In other companies, when you talk about thought leadership, they're talking about any of the content marketing that helps them be positioned as a thought leader in the market and their executives be positioned as thought leaders in the market. And, which is a super common way to think of thought leadership. So I think it depends on how you think about it. On the one hand, on the other hand, like, what do I think is happening out there?
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Can a vendor really be a thought leader?
Sure. Why not?
Why? There's a vested interest in that.
So, all right, when I was the editor-in-chief of CRM, Direct Marketing News, 1-to-1, I absolutely loved taking vendor meetings because, yes, vendors would position a trend from their own point of view, but you talk to multiple folks and you get the common threads on one hand, and also, also you see which people stand out as really knowing their shit. Like, there are some people who are amazing out there in this business and really know what's what.
Thank you.
And they're talking straight from the hip. They're not positioning stuff in just what's important to their company.
Right.
So there's a far bigger discussion than the 3 minutes we have, but I agree that it's amazing to have all these conversations, but that doesn't make the vendor the thought leader. It makes the person having the conversations.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm
together
about
the
to go
pieces
with
of
it.
thought leader.
I agree. I think that vendors can have people who are thought leaders who work for them.
Mm-hmm.
And you're both living examples of that. Michael Wu is another example, right, of that. People who you work for a vendor doesn't mean you're devoid of a great idea. I mean, you're human beings, human beings.
Vala. I mean, there are certain folks that you don't even think about their company. You think about them more than you think about who they work for.
I think from the vendor as a thought leader, the actual company, I don't think that really happens. I mean, they all would want to be. If they're smart, they'll, let's say, reframe their thinking from we want to be a thought leader to we want to be a trusted advisor, right?
Gotcha.
Which is a very different way of looking at it. And
there's a lot more value to be delivered that way.
Well, yeah, and ultimately, that's what you're looking for from a potential customer anyway, which is trust, right? Because if you have that, you become a customer. So, I think though that the individuals can be, if the vendor is intelligent about it, those key thinkers at the company are put forward and allowed the latitude to do what they do at the company, which will ultimately benefit the company by allowing them to get out there and start being thought leaders and not being beholden to a company line.
Yeah. As long as they are truly that, because there are some executives who can't help but drink the Kool-Aid and share it.
Yeah, I know. That's not a thought leader.
So
the Supreme Court has ruled, according to Alan Bergson, the Supreme Court has ruled that vendors can be thought leaders.
Well,
it's a citizens versus Virginia decision that comes down from 2021 post that 2020 election. So there you have it.
You remember years ago when we were doing those first CRM vendor panels, CRM Magazine Evolution vendor panels, we had, one of the guys that we used to love to have on panels was Anthony Lai. Mm-hmm. And the reason we liked it is because he could talk to an idea without pitching his company all the time. Right. And he could just talk to the idea. And that was we loved that, right? And the one thing that the people who are independent of the vendors can do is promote those people, right? Because they don't have the self-interest that the vendors might, right? And the individuals that, so a lot of this, is dependent on vendor policy and vendor culture. And at the same time, and by allowing people to be independent, of the company's hype or chatter, it allows the company to be better, really, and people tend to trust it more. So I think, formulating around trusted advisor on the one hand, and then individual vendor thought leaders on the other, absolutely. In fact, when I'm doing advisory work, part of my work is to find out who are those vendor thought leaders. It's actually built into my work, right? Is how to find who are those individuals who can speak to the ideas that will benefit the company, and then push hard on the companies I'm advising to let that person have the freedom to do it. And I'd say, to their credit, 70% of the companies do give them that freedom.
So I've been thinking about this for a while, as you can probably imagine. So try to find my identity in the world. And I know that we're out of time, so cut me off anytime you want. But
all right, see you.
I've been thinking about this for a while. But so if you really think about how thought leadership comes together, right? Of course, it's a framework that I created because that's how I live my life. But I mean, from research to ideation to production to distribution, the 4 stages, right? I mean, you do all the reading, you put it together, like Ginger was saying, you have an idea, and then production is when it becomes content and something, and distribution is how you push it into the world. The part where vendors falter dramatically is in production and distribution. So going back to what you're saying, Paul, if you can actually hire somebody to do the research and the ideation, and then allow them to do free distribution and production, that's the part where it becomes really an interesting proposition. And this is where folks, like you were saying, like Vala and and Ginger and others, are becoming pretty important in the world of vendors, in the sense that they can do production and distribution without political bias. That's the critical part where evangelism and influencers and so forth become very interesting.
Yeah, amen. And that's a discussion for a long discussion for another day, because that's a really important one.
That's what I said.
But we don't have time for that.
I'm a thought promoter.
But
I changed from thought leader to thought promoter now.
I'm just a parrot, personally. Have you seen those dancing? I could just start dancing like this to TikTok music.
Brent, to wrap up this thing, so much to say is mirrored into debates on the production part of the content and going to distribution.
I knew it was one of those 4 phases.
Yeah, you know me and my frameworks. Come on, I got everything. And then after we do the thought leadership as a vendor, then we can have a framework of dating that I perfected that one over the last few months. So.
All righty then. Well, it is always a pleasure convening the 4/5 whenever we can get it. 4/5 of the Horsemen, even if one of the 5th spells it HOARSE this time around, but that's all right. He came through. He made it through to the whole thing. So we are thankful, and we, of course, look forward to convening these same folks at a future time, because guess what? We still haven't quite brought CRM to both knees just yet.
Right now, it just needs a knee replacement.
I had one. Wow.
We're going to borrow yours. We'll borrow your old knee.
Oh, I have it in a jar if you wanted to see it.
No.
Yeah.
Don't want to see it.
Send it out to the industry.
That's the distribution part that I was talking about. Yes.
At some point, I know this is a radical idea, but wouldn't it be cool to actually see each other in real life at some point?
Dude, I don't do that anymore.
That would be awesome. I just came back from 2 work trips, and I'm going on one in 2 weeks.
Is it in Vegas?
One was Vegas, one was Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and the next one is Minneapolis. Making the rounds.
Are you going to visit Paisley Park?
Should I?
Prince's,
Should you? Are you kidding me?
Oh, Oh, that's, you know what? They have a tour the first morning, but I don't get there till after it's over because I didn't know.
Well, you got to change
So-
your tickets now. Brent just told you. And Brent is an
Maybe I can go
influencer,
after it's over. I have like 6 hours before my flight.
Yeah, it's an early morning.
gotta-
It'll be okay.
Gotta
Brent's
do what you gotta
basically
do.
suggesting
Like
3
this.
days before your flight.
I don't know. All right. So, on behalf of Ginger Conlon and Esteban, who only goes by one word at this point,
I'm doing emojis for you.
I see. You can stop now.
I'll do it.
I'm Brent Leary,
I'm Paul Greenberg.
and we cannot end the show until Minnie.
Minnie.
Wait a minute. Is that the best Minnie?
Yeah.
I thought I had updated Minnie with the mug.
No,
I'm
you
not-
never. This is the thing that's on the mug.
Oh, okay. I thought I had a picture of her, the mug with her on. Anyway, we are the CRM Playaz. We will see you next week. Be
And
there.
remember, July 18th, a big announcement.
It's big. It's really big.
Big.